You can build a business from scratch in 30 days. You can build these businesses, and not only can you build them and stack recurring income with them, but you can also sell them. You can also exit them. And people would say, no, you can't. And I was like, okay, let's see. As somebody who has started 200 businesses, you don't make decisions in business based on feelings. You make decisions based on data. Cleaning is just the lowest hanging fruit. Very easy to get started, very easy to find laborers.
Such a small thing, you can make millions on top of millions of dollars.
I bought 500 yard signs, right? $4 a sign, cost me $2,000. I put up only 250 of them, made $105,000 in 7 weeks. There's a gap.
Yeah.
If you can fill it, there's money to be made.
Because I know you can't just have one good cleaner and then you have multiple jobs or somebody falls sick.
You don't need to be able to provide very consistent work to people for them to still want to be in your network.
All right, guys. So before we jump into the episode, just want to make a big announcement. We just launched a Motion and Success community, guys. So in this community, we're going to be giving you the game on content. Basically, how to grow your profile from 0 to 100K in under a year, as well as how to make money online, getting leads for your business, more customers, more money.
Also, for the Motion and Success podcast, one of the things that I realized, we're attracting a lot of entrepreneurs, business owners, and people that are just starting up their business and they're looking to start growing their business and scaling. One of the key factors to growing a business is by borrowing capital. So now when you're going out to certain banks, there's certain things that you need to do to be able to get funding for your business, to be able to start, grow, and scale what you got going on and take things to the moon. So if you're looking to go out and start growing and scaling your business like a lot of our guests has been doing, I'm going to teach you how to go out and get access to capital, access to credit cards, lines of credit, loans, things of that nature, so that way you can start growing your business. Sometimes you might just need an extra 50,000. Sometimes it might be 100,000. But listen, check us out inside the community. Go ahead and click the link down below and book a call with us. And I'm going to see you guys inside the community. Enjoy the rest of the episode. All right, y'all. So welcome back to another episode of Motion and Success. Listen, guys, my name is Cody Brown. And I got my co-host with me.
Yo, it's Io, and we're in Miami with it today, man. Yeah. Another great special guest, another entrepreneur crushing it. Y'all know Miami, you got to come with something heavy. If you coming out here, we always got to come with some valuable information. And today we got Parker, who's going to be giving you that information. Crazy game. Y'all really want to stay tuned for this one, for sure.
Absolutely. So this is another episode where Motion and Success meets Parker. Parker is one of the top guys in the cleaning industry. Teaches people how to go out and create online cleaning business in different states, so that way you're not working hard, long hours, but you still be able to make a good amount of money doing something that can definitely help a lot of people. So, Parker, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell the people who you are. Get started from there, bro.
Beautiful. Well, guys, I'm really excited to be here. I appreciate you guys having me on here. Excited that you made the trip all the way out here to Miami. So. Yeah. For anyone who doesn't know me already, my name is Parker Smith. I run and scale and sell home service businesses. I got started in this almost by accident about 2.5 years ago after retiring from being a professional athlete. So I was a college athlete, I was a pro athlete, and then at some point along the way, I realized I'm not going to be able to play forever. You know, the runway is going to come to an end, and it was sooner than I had hoped that it would be. And at that point, it was either go drive for Amazon, go drive DoorDash, go back to school, take night classes, because I already had an apartment, I already had a rent and bills to pay. So, work during the day, go to class at night, or it was going to be to just try to figure something out on my own. And that was how I fell into remote home services, and the rest is kind of history from there.
Wow. Off camera, we were talking and kind of heard some of your stories, and to find out you was only 24, like you told us everything, and I'm like, how old are you? 24. I'm like, and you then did professional soccer player, you're married as well, and then you made millions of dollars building cleaning businesses, agencies, and then selling them out for crazy amounts of money. How did you get into, why the cleaning agency business? Like, what made that business? How did it catch your eye?
Yeah, I think actually almost opposite to most people. I was really attracted to it because it was not flashy. There was nothing really fancy about it. I didn't have to have some crazy skill set. It wasn't the future, AI, personal brand, all this shit. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I knew that I really wanted something reliable, right? I had already met my woman, my fiance at the time. We had plans to get married. I'm like, man, I gotta hold it down. You know, I can't be messing around trying to ride a wave here. You know, I know that you had spent some time working in kind of the Web3 space, crypto, NFTs, all that. I rode that wave, man. I mean, that was up so fast, down just as quick. Like, I'm like, I want a family. You know, I want to be able to provide for the people that I love, the people that I care about. And I'm not going to be able to do that trying to catch a trend that who knows how long that runway will be. So it really started with me looking at what are the actually wealthy people doing, right? The people with hundreds of millions of dollars. They're not launching NFT projects, right? They're not, you know, launching crypto coins, doing some crazy stuff like that. They own paving businesses. They own huge commercial cleaning businesses. They own boring companies. They manufacture the cardboard boxes that Amazon uses. Matter of fact, actually one of the wealthiest people I ever met in my life that really was kind of a turning point for me mentally. In high school, I used to work for a construction landscaping company. I built patios, long, hard hours, 10-hour days all summer, spring break, winter break. You know, we were doing outdoor landscape construction, and the craziest build we ever did. This gentleman, he owned a $10 million home. He bought a $4 million home right next to him, bulldozed it, and turned it into like a second yard for him because he needed more space for everything he wanted, right? So we're building him a tennis court, a basketball court, a pond with a waterfall so his dogs could go swim in the pond. I mean, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen. We're planting a forest of trees in the backyard so that it's in the right location where he wants his forest of trees to be. And I asked him one day while we were eating lunch, he brought us pizza every Friday. And I'm sitting next to him, and I just asked him, I'm like, oh, how did this happen? How did you afford this? He said, oh, well, you know, about 15 years ago, I opened up a manufacturing plant, and we manufacture cardboard boxes. And when Amazon started getting really big, I spoke with Jeff Bezos, and we became the exclusive cardboard box supplier for Amazon in the Midwest. Wow. That's all he does. This gentleman had made over $100 million manufacturing cardboard boxes for one customer.
That's kind of, it's crazy. I was kind of having a similar conversation like that the other day too. I was meeting with one of our bankers, and he was like, yo, he just picked up a new client, and the client, he was like, he makes these. And then he knocked on the table. So he's a manufacturer of like tables that people sell, like the actual wood on the tables. I'm like, and he's making millions of dollars. I'm like, I would have slept right past that business
Of
idea.
course.
You know what I mean? Like, you never think, like, you know, such a small thing, you can make millions on top of millions of dollars.
And that's exactly the realization I had. I realized I don't have to do something crazy. I don't have to reinvent the wheel. And I ended up realizing, you know, home services was a low barrier to entry. You got a lot of really skilled laborers with no idea how to find customers. And then you throw in the fact that customers feel very sensitive about it, right? You're inviting someone into your home. You're allowing someone to work on your home. The vast majority of people, that is their crown jewel. You know, most people have one residence and it's the largest asset that they own. It makes up the majority of their net worth. You know, this is everything to them. Letting someone come into their home is not a small decision. Letting someone work on their home or inside of their home, they really want to feel a level of trust. And what does that mean? It means that they'll pay a premium.
Right.
Whenever there's a gap between somebody wanting something done really professionally, high trust, low risk, and good independent laborers without an ability to bridge that gap and prove trust and prove themselves and their reputation, that's a gap that we can take advantage of. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, I got to at least dip my toe in. I was about 2.5 years and about 200 businesses ago. And now, you know, here we are today. So that was really the original jumping off point.
Wow. How were you able to, you know, because I know starting off, you know, this is like kind of like, it's like a new business for you. How were you able to like get it off the ground, get your first few customers? You know, how long did it take take you to get your first few customers?
You know, it's crazy, and I need to take this moment here to just shout out my lovely wife, Emily. When we started this, and I say we because it was her $2,500 that she lent me because I didn't have, you know, I maybe had $5,000 to my name. We're living in an apartment together. I had come off of a season, my last pro season. I hurt my knee. I was trying to rehab. I was trying to get a new contract. I just couldn't get fit for preseason. My knee was still bothering me. Coach said, unfortunately, you know, we don't have a spot for you here if you're not healthy. They cut me, and I realized I'm back to driving DoorDash right now. You know, I don't have shit to my name. We had $1,800 a month in rent. We're living up north in Wisconsin, so cheap rent, thankfully. And she was working as a civil engineer, just graduated college, had a good income. I came to her and I said, baby, I got an idea and I need $3,000. And she said, all right, let's do it. Let's give it a try. You know, we had been dating for 5 years at the time. And we knew we were going to get married. It was right before we got engaged. And she said, all right, let's try it. And she built our website. She designed our logo. You know, she did all the nice feminine things where, you know, she had a really good creative touch, really good eye for design and detail. And I just started to really get into the trenches, learning the operations. I'm like, shit, I don't know anything about cleaning, but I'll be damned if I'm not an expert in the next 3 months because I got nothing but time. And I just dove into it. I submerged myself. Any way I could possibly get a client, I tried it. Any way I could possibly have a new sales approach, I tried it. And it was just experimentation, trial and error, trial and error, trial and error. Thankfully, my business partner now, John, who you guys spoke with already, he actually lended me a helping hand. You know, he really kind of steered me in the right direction over that first month. And then we were up and running about 21 days, 3 weeks of really just like, you know, rubber hitting the road, getting everything ready. And then it was all gas, no brakes. We had our first customer within 24 hours. Wow. And we hit 10,000 month number 2. We hit 20,000 month number 4, 35,000 month number 6. And it was just like, I cracked the code. I remember looking at myself in the mirror one day, and then I pulled out a sticky note and I wrote on it, $300,000 exit. And then I wrote $50,000 a month. And I wrote both of those on there. And I wrote a date on it. And I stuck it on my door frame right above where I walked in and out of my bedroom every day. And I stuck that there. And I was maybe 3 months into the business. And 7 months later, that all came to fruition. I've sold that entity, sold that first location out for over $300,000. That business grew to over $50K a month. And in the process, you know, I started another half dozen of my own locations and 200 locations with partners. So once it started, I realized it wasn't rocket science. And if I was willing to just put that work in and then document everything so that I could recreate it in the future, that was it.
Why not, you know, keep the business? Like, why are you exiting? You know, instead of you keeping the business and, you know, building it up. And then also too, what makes a home cleaning agency like business model so, you know, valuable that someone would want to buy it?
2 fantastic questions. I'm going to start with the second one. Now, the reason why a book of business like this, because that's ultimately what it is, right? I've got an online presence. You've got a little bit of IP. You know, we've got a nice website, nice social media. We've got 100 5-star reviews on Google, etc. But ultimately, it's really a book of business. The reason why it's so valuable is because I've had these customers come in, me running their credit card, them sending a Zelle, writing a check every week, every 2 weeks for 8, 9, 10, 12 months. These people can't live without their cleaning service, right? And when an investor comes and they look at a business, they're not so much concerned, especially investors in boring businesses like this. They're not so much concerned with the upside potential as they are concerned with the cash flow. The gentleman who bought my business knew that business was going to bring him $10,000 a month in profit every month. And that was the minimum. That was with no new clients, no ads running, no sales calls. Just the existing book of business was going to make him $10,000 a month in profit. It means if he cuts me a check for $300,000 in 2.5 years, he makes that back. That's a cash flow investor's dream right there.
Hey family, just a big announcement I wanted to share with you guys. We just launched the Motion and Success community. So listen, a lot of times, a lot of you guys are struggling online to grow your social media platform. You're considered the best kept secret. Literally, no one knows you. You got a business, but if your business is not online, you're literally a secret. We're gonna be showing you guys how to grow from 0 to 100K online organically. If we did it, you guys can definitely do it too. We had influencers like Queen Latifah, Rick Ross, Usain Bolt, and many others liking our content, and this was all done organically. If you want to know those specific strategies on how you can take your brand and your business to the next level and start putting more money in your pocket, getting more leads for your business, getting more clients, and taking yourself to the next level of entrepreneurship, comment the word motion down below and let's start creating you some motion and definitely some success, but more importantly, some leads that convert into dollars.
So that's why the businesses are so saleable. And to get to answer your first question now, it was almost so that I could tell other people that they could do it too. And when I got to this point, I had 6 locations, and I would get on an audience like this, a platform like this, or on my own platform, and I would say, you can build these businesses, and not only can you build them and stack recurring income with them, but you can also sell them. You can also exit them. And people would say, no, you can't. No, you can't. And I was like, okay, let's see.
Yeah.
Right. And so I went out and I sold it for $300,000. And then I said, all right, what's your excuse now? What's the reason now? You know, a portion of it was I have enough cash flow coming in already that sure, who doesn't love a lump sum up front? And then the second thing was to show that it really was a step in the business's process. Build, scale, exit. But then the other idea was ultimately when you are the one running the business, it takes a certain amount of time. I got mine to a point where I was running it maybe 5 hours a week, but still you have 6 locations, 5 hours a week. That's 30 hours a week now.
Yeah.
You do run out of leverage. You do run out of time eventually. So I got to a point where I realized if I could get rid of this location, sell it to somebody who'd be happy to give up 5 hours a week, make an extra 120 on top of what they're already doing, and that's all they want to do, great. I felt my leverage was in using the skill set that I had developed and the systems and the processes to go and help other people grow into 50 locations, 100 locations, 200 locations, and then just keep my little bit of each one of those, get my cash flow that way. So that was ultimately the last kind of deciding factor for making the jump fully into selling that business. And I'll be selling 2 more businesses probably in the next 8 months.
Okay.
And you said that this business model, it doesn't just work with, you know, just cleaning, like other things as well. Like you said off camera, you mentioned plumbing, you mentioned, you know, Christmas lights and things like that. So you didn't used it in different areas of like, you know, whether it's plumbing or setting Christmas lights, and it all works, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I want to break this down actually into 3 different parts here. Okay. So we don't look at the business model in relation to cleaning. Cleaning, it's almost irrelevant. The reason why we like cleaning is because it's such a low barrier to entry, right? There's really nothing very fancy about it. And there is an abundance of high quality cleaners out there. Lord knows that, right? All of our mothers are pro cleaners, right? Because they cleaned up after us our whole lives. So, you know, things like that, there's really an abundance of talent, which is why we recommend starting there. But the model is just this. It's 3 steps, right? It's somebody who can do a difficult task at a very high level, okay? Doesn't matter the task. So we've got our service provider here. Now we've got a customer who cannot or will not do that task, right? And then we've got an entity that connects the 2 of them.
Which is you.
And that's me. I don't care what the service provider does. I don't care what the customer needs. I'm only worried about the middle, right? So all I need to do, I break it down, the same thing, 3 steps again. I go out, I find a need, I find an industry that is lacking enough fulfillment. Then I find high quality service providers who can do that. And then I just learn, where are these customers going? Somebody who needs Christmas lights, where do they go? That's an interesting one. Not a lot of people are gonna pay a premium for something like Christmas lights. So is it being Googled that frequently? Not really. It's only an 8-week season. Google's not really the way to do it. Started a Christmas lights business last year, again, to test my own theory. Right? When I talk about something, I don't like talking without experience. So
at least try it.
exactly. I was like, I think this could work with Christmas lighting. I saw a guy online doing it well. I said, all right, I'm gonna put my own twist on this. I went out, I found 10 guys that were off-season roofers. I'm from Chicago. They're putting up roofs all summer, all spring, all fall. What are they doing in the wintertime? There's snow on the roofs. No one's getting a new roof put on then. They're off-season. They're out of work. They don't know what to do. So I hit these guys up. I said, hey, would you be interested in doing Christmas light installation? You're already comfortable on the roof, comfortable on a ladder. You're out of work right now. This seems like a match made in heaven here. I got an easy task you could do. I'll pay you well for it. And I think I could sell this at a premium. Then I tested the market. What can I sell this at? What can I sell Christmas light installation? I found I could sell light installation at $8, $9, $10 a foot. That means your average home, 150 linear feet for the roof line. I could sell an average light installation for $1,200. And my crew of 3 guys can do that in 2 hours. Okay, that's interesting, right? There's margin there. Even if I'm paying these guys $30 an hour, you're telling me my total cost here, 6 hours of labor, I'm paying $200 of labor for a $1,200 service. Even if I got to buy the lights, that's not much. So then I went out, I said, where do I get these clients? I realized these people, they want this put right in front of their faces. These are rich people. It's a premium service. I need to go to the nice areas. I'm just going to start with paper marketing materials. I bought 500 yard signs, right? 500 yard signs, $4 a sign. It cost me $2,000. I put up only 250 of them, made $105,000 in 7 weeks.
Really? Just hanging up lights.
$105,000 in 7 weeks with 300 yard signs. That's it. No Facebook, no Google, no online of any kind. Right?
It's crazy.
There's a gap.
Yeah.
If you can fill it, there's money to be made.
Absolutely. You don't want to know one of the things too, like when I was much earlier on in like business, things of that nature, I used to always think like, yo, you got to get on Instagram, you got to post your content, you got to do the TikTok dances, you got to do what's trending online to be able to get some clients and grow a business. But the real people that actually knows how to grow businesses, some can be online where you're on Instagram, you're creating the content, and then some is just like, it's the 3 things you were talking about. You got to have the problem, the person that can solve the problem, and then you're going to be the person in the middle, you know? So some good stuff.
Yeah, the agency model works because people can't find each other.
Yeah.
And that's really it. If you can just be the connector, it can work for anything, right? We've done it with handyman services. I've done it with gutter cleaning, window cleaning, pressure washing, residential cleaning, commercial cleaning, light installation. I mean, anything like that, this model applies to. Cleaning is just the lowest hanging fruit.
Right.
Very easy to get started, very easy to find laborers. But this, we could even go higher from there. You know, there's always higher ticket services that can be sold, and all you're doing is filling the gap in the middle.
What's like your top 5 marketing strategies when it comes to like the cleaning business? Or it looks like you're focusing on a lot of home improvement stuff. Like what's your go-to strategies for marketing?
Yeah, so I mean, there's only, in my opinion, 5 strategies even worth trying. So perfect number to give a top 5 here, right? Number 1, far and away. I hate to say it because it is a premium product. It's a premium service, but it's pay-per-lead ad platforms, right? It's local services ad, which is a Google service. It's Thumbtack. It's Yelp, right? It's platforms where customers are already captive. They're already looking for this exact service that you provide. You pop up right away as a recommended search result, and then they reach out to you. They're warm, they're on the phone, they're in your DMs or messages. It's like, that is a lay down close, right? I was selling cleaning services that I did not know the first thing about at a 90% closing rate because the leads are just so hot. Like they want it, they're already motivated, they got their credit card in their hand. So that's got to be number 1.
All right, so let me ask you guys a real quick question before we move forward any further in this episode. So listen, are you guys struggling with bad credit? Are you guys struggling with credit repair? Or are you struggling with getting funding. So now, if you answered yes to any of those questions, me and the Motion and Success team went ahead and created a community where we're showing you in depth and showing you exactly how to go out and repair your credit without having to hire a credit repair company and spending $1,500, $2,000, $3,000 and still have a chance of not getting any results. I'm going to show you how to use AI to repair your credit. Number two, if you're lacking having a strong credit report, I'm going to show you exactly what to do, where to go, and how to build up a strong profile. And number three, if you're looking to go out and get funding to go ahead and buy equipment for your business, expand your business, get working capital, hire employees, I'm gonna show you exactly where to go to get the funds to grow and scale your business. So if you wanna have some motion and success for your business, motion and success for your family, come ahead and join us home, and I'm gonna see you guys inside the community. Go ahead and click the link down below. Now let's get back to the episode.
Number two is going to be a little bit more of a, some people may not even consider this one. I think if you're ignoring this, especially in services, you're missing out huge. It is the referral / warm network, social type of marketing. That is so huge, especially when you are selling a high ticket service, because again, it is all about trust. I would send a crew out to go do a Christmas light installation. And you know what? I'll give you a specific story here. We actually sent a crew out to do a Christmas light installation for a gentleman's house in an affluent neighborhood. We went there, and while we were there, I brought myself and one of my other guys with me. We were kind of overseeing the installation. Big job, $3,000 lighting install, big job. And while we were there, we went and we did what's called a clover. We went and we knocked all the doors surrounding right there. You see it a lot with window washing, exterior services, stuff like that, right? Yeah. We knocked all the doors. We said, hey, that's us right there. You see the crew, you see the guys on the roof, your neighbor, Joe, Billy, Tim, Tina, whoever it is, right? They're paying us to put the lights up. And we were just curious if you wanted to also decorate this year. Now, it does two things. First of all, it creates that kind of, well, the Jones are doing it, so we got to do it. We got to do it, right? And then the second thing it does is it built trust. They said, well, Tim, he's a smart guy. He definitely did his research. You're doing his lights. You know what? I don't need to shop around. If we're going to do lights, we're going to use you guys. Sold 4 other houses on that same block. That day did over $10,000 in a single day. Just knocking doors, just because, well, Tim down the street's doing it. So that referral or, kind of social network, that's got to be my number 2. Okay. My number 3, it's old school, but it works if you're willing to be a little bit more patient with it. And that's going to be your paper mail, right? It's going to be door hangers. It's going to be flyers. It's going to be yard signs. Some people will say, oh, it's trash. Why would you mark it with garbage? Yes, but it depends on the service that you're doing, and it depends how you're delivering it, right? When I first started my cleaning business, I would go with door hangers. I'd clover all the neighborhoods near where we did a clean, and I would stick it on there. And on the back of all of them, handwritten, it looked handwritten, but it wasn't handwritten. But handwritten on the back, it would say, hey, we just cleaned your neighbor's place. We'd love to get you on the same schedule. Here's $100 off your next service. Give us a call. And I'd go, and everybody has a Ring doorbell camera now, right? Yeah. So I'd go, I'd walk up, I'd stick it on there. I got a big ass smile on my face. Yeah. I'm in a goofy big red t-shirt. I put it on there and I'm like, have a great day, right? And I smile at the Ring doorbell camera. And we got maybe 5 recurring cleans from that, from a couple afternoons of just putting out a few yard signs, putting out a few door hangers, things like that. So paper marketing is number 3. Number 4, I'm gonna go with having like pay per click or like, your Facebook ads, your Google ads. They're much more difficult to master, but if you do them, your cost per lead can actually be significantly lower. Your lead quality is going to be lower, but your cost per lead is going to be much lower as well. And in a business that is a recurring model, if I can get a $2 lead, even if the lead sucks, if I get 1 out of every 50 leads onto a bi-weekly recurring clean, that's paying for ad spend for months and months. So, those can be a great tool as well, just to kind of integrate however possible. And then number 5, which I put at number 5 because it's the least enticing to most people, but I do want to say it could be my number 1 in terms of my favorite, and it is cold outreach. At the end of the day, you can brute force your business to grow if you are just willing to spend enough time on the phone, spend enough time at the keyboard. If you send enough emails, make enough dials, you will get customers. That's it.
Yeah.
Because you have to go through so many no's to get to a yes. But if I'm willing to go through 300 no's a day, how many yeses am I going to get to? I mean, I worked with 2 college boys based out of Chicago. If you're watching this, shout out to you guys. But they came in and they actually said, "Hey, Parker, they paid me to help them do all the setup, get everything going. We got everything optimized, perfect. They're ready to go." And then they're like, "Parker, I'm sorry, we don't have any money to spend on ads." And I'm like, we kind of need ads in the beginning here, right? So I'm like, we got to get a little creative. How are we going to do this with no ads? I said, "Do you guys have time?" They said, "Yeah, we got nothing but time. We're college students. We're in class 4 hours a day. We go work out at the gym for an hour. The rest of our day is wide open." I'm like, "Okay, let's cold outreach every single bar, restaurant, bank, library, car dealership, warehouse." And when I made them a list of 20 different industries, and I said, "I want you to call 500 of each of these within 100 miles of here, within 50 miles of here." They did it, and they built a book of business, $19,000 a month, all commercial, all under contract, recurring business with $0 of ad spend. Just purely time on the phones saying, "We will not stop until we get a yes." So that's going to be my number 5, but it could be higher easily.
Wow.
That was some game right there. I definitely was some game. The way you broke it down from top to bottom. I did want to ask you too about in terms of the cleaners, right? Because now you're getting all these clients. How do you handle the work demand that it requires? Because I know you can't just have one good cleaner and then you have multiple jobs or somebody falls sick. So how do you get, a list of contractors who, could take a task when maybe the best one might not be able to?
Yeah, it is all about having backups, right? It's all about having a roster.
Yeah.
You need a roster, right? You have your starters, you have your LeBron, you have your Giannis, but you also have your role players, you have the players that just step in when you need them. And if you rely too heavily, and I made this mistake actually in my first location, I relied a little too heavily on a single service provider. And one day she decided, "Hey, we're moving. We're no longer going to be living in Wisconsin." And all my customers loved her. And all my customers wanted her as their service. I mean, she was booked 50 hours a week, solid, every week. She never went on vacation. She never called in sick. I mean, she was just fantastic. And then she was gone. And I had maybe a week of notice. Like it was like, "Oh, we're actually leaving on Saturday and it's Monday."
Right.
I'm like, wow. So, it was a scramble. It was a stretch there in that moment. But what I realized is you don't need to be able to provide very consistent work to people for them to still want to be in your network. Most of these people are already operating their own book of business, their own company independently. So if I have my own cleaning business, if I have Parker's cleaning business, and Parker's cleaning business does 15 cleans a week, we make a little bit of money. I'm the cleaner myself. Me and my wife, we go clean, and we make $3,000, every 2 weeks cleaning houses. That's what we do. Okay, that's fine. If you call me once a week and you say, "Hey, Parker, I've got this extra clean for you. It's on Saturday. You're not busy on Saturday. Do you mind going and knocking it out for me? I'll give you $200. Sure. I'm going to go do that for you. If you call me once a month, I'm still going to go do it for you. If you call me once every 2 months, I'm still going to go do it for you. So I realized I could have 20 cleaners on standby. Right, I could have a A team, a B team, junior varsity. Like I didn't need to just have my starting 5, and I could have cleaners who had their own book of business. They're not relying on me to put food on the table. When I call them, it's a bonus. When I call them, it's an extra. So you can build out that backlog of service providers that are ready to step in if you need them, but they're not texting you every Sunday. "Hey, no jobs this week. What's going on? I got bills to pay." Maybe you have your main group where they're like that, but you can have a bunch of people who are on the back burner who, as long as you're compensating them well, you're treating them fairly, you're being respectful of their time and their energy, they have no problem being on ice for 2 months. And then, "Oh, you got 3 jobs for them this week." They're thrilled. but they don't expect now I'm going to get 3 jobs every week going forward. And if they do, they'll tell you that, and you'll say, hey, I want to let you know, you're not a starter. You're a backup, and that's okay. I'll call you when I need you, and you're doing a great work. So I'm going to continue to make sure, I'm going to follow up with the customers, get you some good tips. I'm going to pay you well for your time. And you can still maintain that without needing to give them super consistent work.
So now, how do you usually find your cleaners?
I have found the most of my cleaners through referrals and mainly actually third-party referrals. So when I say referrals, I actually have started 6 businesses at this point. I've only lived in the city that I was starting the business in once, and it was my very first location. The other 5, I started completely remotely. I have businesses in 2 cities that I've never even been to. I have a business in Kansas City, Missouri. Shout out Kansas City. Never been there. I don't know if I ever will go there, but I saw a market opportunity and we got it set up and we got it going. So when it comes to me finding cleaners, I don't have a network I can tap into there. I don't know anyone in Kansas City. What I do is I'd leverage a platform like maybe a Nextdoor or Facebook, and I would go in and I'd say, hey, I just moved to Kansas City. Does anyone have any recommendations for a cleaner? Just moved here. Right? I'm looking for somebody in this area. Then I'll go in this other Nextdoor group. I'm looking for somebody in this area. Hey, I'm a small business owner. I'm looking for somebody to clean my warehouse. Anyone have any good commercial cleaner recommendations? Any other small business owners in here? And I could easily generate a list of 50 cleaners, most of them small businesses or independent cleaners, and then just start by reaching out to them, not even saying, hey, I've got a job for you, but rather just saying, hey, my name's Parker. I own a cleaning business actually in Kansas City as well. And sometimes we just have a little too much work. And rather than me just turning these customers away, I was wondering if I could find somebody who maybe would subcontract some of that work from me, give you a big percentage of the job. You go out, you knock it out. As long as you represent my company well, beautiful.
Good.
You make money, I make money, everybody's happy. And it is so easy to sell on a job opportunity like that. Why would someone not take that?
Right.
And that's it. And I normally start Facebook Nextdoor if I need to. I'll throw a job posting up on ZipRecruiter, Indeed, whatever, and I'll get people to apply. And I approach them very similarly. And I say, hey, I know you're looking for work. I just want you to know this isn't 20 hours a week, 40 hours a week, set income, benefits. No, it's an independent contractor role. You've got your own cleaning supplies, your own car, your own insurance. This is your show. I'm just going to bring you clients. And if you're happy with that, we could grow this as big or as small as you want it to be.
So when you're doing the business, do you usually find your cleaners first and then you go start marketing and finding houses, or you do it the other way around?
Yeah, so it's normally it's a 30-day process for getting set up, right? You can build a business from scratch in 30 days. The first 10 days is you do your market research, you pick your location, you figure out where do I want this business to be and why, what are my prices going to be, all that, okay? This is when we're getting a website built, we're setting up social medias, doing the back end stuff. The next 10 days is when we're fine tuning the ads. We're not running them yet, but we're fine tuning them, we're optimizing them, getting everything ready to go. And then we're casting the net for cleaners. We're starting to see what we've got, what type of applications we're getting, what type of conversations we're having. Maybe we're doing a couple test services. And then the last 10 days, all we're doing is now we're kind of putting the finishing touches on things. We're flipping the ads on. We're seeing which platforms are generating more leads. We're starting to do some cold outreach, finding which industries or which verticals within the cold outreach we're finding the most success with. And then by the end of the 30 days, we've got cleaners. We've got our first couple clients. We know where we want to redirect our ad spend, redirect our cold calling energy, and then we just double down. We run a 30-day period where we're just gathering information. What are we spending to close leads? What's our closing rate? Are we good enough on the phones? Are customers a little bit cheaper here? Are they willing to pay more? Are our move-in prices? Everyone says yes to the move-in. Maybe we got to move the move-in prices up, right? All of this, and we have very, very methodical procedures. I believe, as somebody who has started 200 businesses, you don't make decisions in business based on feelings. You make decisions based on data. And all you need to do is use the first 30 days to get everything set up and optimized properly. Use the next 30 days to collect as much data as possible. Run ads everywhere. Cold call everyone. Pitch high prices, pitch low prices. Start with the upsell, start with the downsell. Run different sales practices, all of those things. Do as much of it as you can until we get a ton of data. And then month 3, We take all that data that we've gathered, we streamline everything so that we actually know what's working. And by the end of 90 days, I mean, I have not had a business that's not cash flowing, making money within 3 months.
That's crazy. That's crazy. The fact that, it only takes 30 days to get set up and then you start making money like, within the next month. I really do like the build, scale, and sell method. The sale, that whole system right there. You exit and you get paid out for building that business up. How do you basically when you sell that business, do you sell it alongside like your list? I'm pretty sure you got customers. I'm pretty sure you got contractors. Or is that also going with the buyer?
Yeah. Here's some game about selling businesses, because this was my first time doing it. This past time I did it, right? Like two and a half years ago, I was just worried about kicking a soccer ball and staying in shape. So this has all been brand new for me as well. And thankfully, I've had some good mentors and some people help me along the way. But it really depends on the business sale. I've now purchased cleaning businesses as well, right? I've found them for super cheap. Somebody who started it, can't run it anymore, whatever, never found success because they didn't know what they were doing. I'll pick a business up for $5K, $10K because it's already set up, running, things like that. But I mean, I found with the sale, when it comes to something like this, what you're selling is the IP. You're selling the brand, the online presence, the reviews, all of that. You're selling the book of business. And then you're basically selling you not competing against the new buyer. And that's been a huge thing in all of my locations, is when somebody goes to buy a business from me, they're like, Parker, tell me you're not going to start a new business in this location, because I don't want to be competing against you, and I wouldn't want to compete against me either. But I always there's a big clause for that, and just making sure that they understand that you're not going to pop up a new entity and then just call your cleaners and have them go move over and steal the book from there. But it really is as simple as a book. Normally the legal documentation, banking history, things like that, the new owner's going to want to assume. And then with a business like this, you don't own vehicles, you don't own any space, you don't own any equipment, you don't have any debt, there's really nothing else to sell, which makes it much more convenient and much easier for a new buyer. It's also why a lot of times you can even get caught in a roll up. You can have somebody who, let's say I have a cleaning business in Chicago, you've got a location that's doing pretty good, it's starting to pick up some market share, and you're willing to take a 2x multiple on what you're doing in EBITDA. So you're making a 100K profit per year, and you're willing to take 200K for that business to just go away. Well, I'm in Chicago too. Sure, I'll buy it out. I'll onboard the cleaners of yours that I like, tell the other ones that I don't like, that we're not interested anymore. And then I'll just roll all of your book of business under my company. And now I've just added an extra 100K a month, 100K a year of profit to my existing business. So you can also have that type of acquisition where it's really just someone kind of bundling up the companies.
So when it comes to like you finding the correct market, like what's your go-tos to make sure, like what are you checking off the box when you're looking for a new market to get in?
I think picking the correct market is probably the second most important thing that you can do. And for me, there's 3 criteria, very, very cut and dry, black and white, right? When I'm picking a new market, I'm looking for a certain population size, right? I don't want to be New York City, center of the city. I know I could do well there, but that's not where I want to be.
But why
right?
not though? Well,
And the reason is two simple things. The first thing is there are way too many owner operators competing with me there, right? I don't mind competition. Competition is not a problem. I'll give a better customer experience and I'll give a better quality service. But what I can't beat is I can't beat Kevin, who just says, pay me $50 and I'll go clean your whole place. I'll never be able to beat Kevin, right? You go to a New York City, you go to a downtown Miami, you go to a downtown LA. How many people are there that are just looking for work? They don't even care what the hourly rate is. Yeah, if I can make $200 today, yeah, I'll go clean your 5-bedroom, 4-bathroom, 3,000 square foot. I can't sell a service at that price.
Right.
I can never compete with that. So I know we can do well in those industries, but it's just unnecessary in my opinion. So I would target maybe 250,000 to 500,000.
population size
of my service area, maybe of like my main county, right? Maybe even upwards to, let's say, 750. But I'm not trying to get to, millions of people. That's unnecessary. It just creates extra friction, and you have more low income people that are there and willing to work for anything, which you might say, oh, that's cheaper labor. Not really. It's just cheaper competition, because your really high level cleaners aren't going to work for that anyway. So that's my first criteria. My second criteria that I want to know the average cost per lead. Because when I'm building from the very beginning, I want to understand, what do I have to spend to acquire a customer, right? I know for myself, in a brand new location, I'm going to close about 75% of the inbound leads. So that means for every 4 calls, I'm going to close 3 customers. What do I have to pay for those 4 calls? Do I have to pay $75 a call? Do I have to pay $50 a call, $30 a call? That could drastically change how much money I make. If I could start the exact same location and get 4 leads for $120 or get 4 leads for $300, I just wiped out all the profit of one of those entire services. Yeah. So that's another thing that I look at. And it's not necessarily like it's got to be below 50, but I want to know that. I really want to know very, very clearly. And thankfully I have data on 200 locations, so I know. And then the third thing that I want to know is, I want to know what's the cost of living? What are people going to expect to be paid and to pay for the services? What is the market rate for cleaning around there? What's the market labor rates for independent contractor labor roles? Can I pay 20 an hour? Do I have to pay 30, 35? Because again, huge difference on what I have to sell a clean at. If I have to pay 35, I have to sell at 70 to get a 50% margin. My target margin's always 50% after contractors. I don't want to try to sell cleaning services at 70%. That's going to kill my closing rate. Again, all numbers, all data. So if I can just get those 3 pieces of information, I can pretty much always pick a market. And I'll give you guys some sauce right now if you're watching this and you're considering, where would I want to start this up? I'll give you 3 cities that I think could be absolutely ripe for the taking, but that aren't actually businesses or locations that I'm owning a business in, right? First one, I'm going to say a city like Birmingham, Alabama, right?
Yeah.
Next one, I'm going to say a city like Indianapolis. Yeah. And then third, and these are literally off the top of my head here. So third one, with the information that I have, something that I know, Cincinnati, Ohio, right? 3 great locations. There's enough people there, plenty of businesses. There are metro areas, but I'm not competing with hundreds of businesses. There's not hundreds of, people that are there doing work for whatever rates. But these people, they're not low income. Cost of living is medium. The cost of labor is going to be medium to low. The cost per lead is going to be medium to low.
Right.
Tick, tick, tick. Those are my 3 boxes. That's really all I need. And you know what? By the time that you're watching this, if you're watching this 6 months from now, I probably have 2 of those 3 locations that I'm already going to be running in. So, you better act quick if you're seeing this right now. But nonetheless, like that is really what I'm looking for.
I really like how you really simplify it, because a lot of times there's a lot of people, they're working 9 to 5s, they're like stressed out, and they sign up for some, sometimes they do sign up for some, programs, and they want to learn, but they don't have the time. So what is your advice to them in terms of getting into this business, where they can, work their 9 to 5, but also build that business up to eventually scale and then exit down the line and make some money?
Absolutely. You have 2 options. If you are starting a business from scratch that you have no experience with, right? You either have to give up time or you have to give up money. That's it. Nothing is free in this life. You either give up your time or you give up your money. So whenever I have stepped into something new, I've just simply evaluated my current situation. My current situation, do I have more time or do I have more money? There were many points in my life where I had more time than I had money. Current situation, I have much more money than I have time. So that's just going to be the lever that I'm going to choose, right? It's a seesaw. And we say, okay, if you are a situation in your life, you got a decent 9 to 5, you make good enough money, you want to make more, maybe you want to have a lifestyle change, You know, you want to not be stuck to going to the office 3 days a week. You want to go fully remote. You want to be able to travel and work. You want to be able to be your own boss, run your own show, right? So that person, in that case, they've got more money than they have time. Time is actually the limiting factor for them. But if they've been financially responsible, they've been saving up a little money, that is when you go and you seek out an expert to just cut your learning curve for you. On the flip side, say you're watching this and you're a college student, you're 20 years old, you want to start something, you got a few hours a week of class, and you don't have really much money at all to speak of. Well, then that's not the time that you go and you pay an expert with your last dime. No, you go and you learn it and you bootstrap it and you spend the time and the energy and the effort to just try to figure it all out on your own. I've been both of those people, and I always prefer to be the one who pays for the expert advice, but I've done them both, and they've both served me very well in their respective situations. So if you are somebody who is, and I'll give you the exact steps I would take and have taken for both of those people. If you're the person who has more time than money, get on YouTube. Get in there. I mean, start on my YouTube. It's free. I've put hundreds of hours of time into it. Start on my YouTube. Go watch every single video on my YouTube, on my business partner's YouTube, at Parker J. Smith, on everything. But go watch every video that I've made there. You would have a solid foundation to start with just from that. Then go follow people who are really doing this. Follow people who are showing real content, days in the life, what they actually do, not just people who are just talking about how great they are at it, but showing how they've gotten that good, right? And then just go. Don't wait, don't think, don't plan, go. Do it. Start with cold calling. See if you can go and get one cleaner onboarded, file an LLC, get one cleaner onboarded, and then go and see if you can cold call and find a commercial place that you can do a walkthrough at and quote. If you get that, if you get 3 of those, 5 of those, you've got your proof of concept now. Now you've got your, hey, this could work. Maybe there's something here. Then you start to tighten everything up. But so many people want to tighten it all up first. And when you don't have money to spare, why spend $500 and 40 hours, 100 hours of your life tightening everything up, getting it all perfect, and then you never even get it off the ground? You ran out of funds, you ran out of energy, you ran out of motivation, excitement. All of those are finite things, right? So that's your way if you got all the time. If you've got the money and you don't have the time, you go to an expert, right? This is the whole reason why I even shifted away from, originally I was in like kind of the coaching space and we were giving people like, hey, here's the blueprint, go do it yourself. Horrible, because those people didn't have time. They had money and they didn't have time. And you give someone with no time the blueprint. I'll start tomorrow. Next month I'll be less busy. Oh, well, just right now it's not. And it never happens. Seen it time and time and time again. You give somebody a blueprint who has time, they can go and do it. Not somebody who just has money. So what we did is we switched everything around and we said, let's make it a franchise, right? It's not technically a franchise from the standpoint of each business is individual, but we essentially actually build the business for you. You don't have the time, that's fine. Don't waste the time. The time isn't what you need. You just need enough time to run it, and then you need somebody to make sure that it's set up to run smoothly. So that's where I come in. I do what I've done 200 times. I do the market research. I set the business up. I do the pricing, the website, the social media, the SEO, the ads optimize, everything. And then I say the limited time that you do have, give it to me so we can work one-on-one and I can show you exactly what you need to know. Here are the real needle movers. Here's the exact sales process you need to know, exact hiring process you need to know. And then you spend that precious time actually learning the important skills while I handle everything else. And then you run it and you give me 5% on the back end. That's the model. That's why we did it that way. So that I could go and find 100 people who were pros, who were experts at getting stuff done, but didn't have the time to do it, and then train them so that they could apply the limited time they have to actually work in this industry.
Yeah. When you sell, like, let's say when you do exit out of these cleaning businesses that you scaled up, what are you doing with what's the long-term plan with the money? Like, are you buying another business? Do you plan on investing it? Like how do you go about the profits you make?
Yeah, I invest very heavily. I am not a very flashy person. I think to me, what is most important is the stability for my family. Right, I want to have 4, 5, 6 kids. Right, I want a big family, and I don't want to spend my whole life working and missing soccer games and things like that. So it's always been about the lifestyle freedom. I invest probably 90% of my income
Back into the business or like real estate?
into I invest in real estate through syndications. I invest in stocks, just like indexes, simple things like that. I invest in Bitcoin. I invest in Ethereum. I have my risk on investment portfolio. I also like to stay cash heavy because opportunity presents itself to people that have cash. And with high yield interest paying 4 or 5% right now, I'm not mad about that. So I do keep cash heavy as well. But the vast majority of the income is just put into other things that I believe can produce income for me. And the best part is that I don't need to deploy extra capital to scale my existing businesses. It's not like, oh, if you want to get to 50K a month, now you got to spend 20K a month. That's not how this business is. The most amount of money I ever made from a single location in a single month was $55,000. $55,000 that month. We had total spend, including contractors, including everything, was $29,000.
Wow.
$27,000 of that went to labor cost. So that means we ran a business that cleared almost $30,000 in profit with $2,000 of spend. So you don't need, there's no real reinvestment. It's not like if I put $1 million into my business, I'd then get 10 million out. You really need 6 to 10K. Full stop. That's it. If you had 6 to 10K, you could do everything that you needed. You could have an expert set it up for you. You could run high level ads for 3 months. You could do anything you needed to really get the ball rolling. And then from there, you just reinvest, just maybe 10% reinvestment, and the business can just grow from there.
Yeah. One thing I did also wanted to ask you was, back to getting back into selling and finding buyers. How do you present it in a way where they're gonna say, basically present it in a way where they can remove themselves from the business? So essentially, they buy it, but they might not be having to put as much time as you would, probably running ads or doing all of those other methods of marketing. Like they just buy a whole bunch of them, and do you guys have your team set those things up for them as well?
Yeah. So you sell a business as it is.
Yeah.
So if you want your buyer to come in and purchase the business under the assumption that they're not going to have to work very heavily in it, well, you just have to show them that you as the owner are not currently working very heavily in it. So it really just comes down to training a replacement very well, having clear SOPs or standard operating procedures so that whoever does step into the role of running that business knows exactly what they need to do. And ideally, you're selling it with a manager already in place, whether it's a virtual assistant or whether it's somebody onshore, local, or even just a cleaner who's kind of at the top of the operational side of things. There's a lot of different ways you can do it. And I've done it with all of it, right? I trained my mom to run one of my locations. She retired and she was just so bored sitting around all day. And she was like, well, could I work for you? And I spent 40 days training my 60-year-old mother. Shout out, Mom. Love you. Spent 40 days training my 60-year-old mother, and she was running my business. 40 days.
So one of the questions I did have was when you're selling a business, the people that's cleaning these spots that you got, they're not employees, they're contractors. Doesn't it make it much harder when you're making a sale?
Yes, but I would raise you the question of what is their loyalty to you as the business owner? Do they have a loyalty to you as the business owner? because I would say they don't. I don't think that any of my cleaners have a loyalty to me. They don't work for me. I'm not their boss. I provide employment opportunities to them. Do they care if the employment opportunities come from me or from you? I mean, no. Do they come from me or the new guy who takes it over, or my manager that I replace myself with who's running the day-to-day? Ultimately, they just care that when Friday comes, they get that transfer into their bank account, and that's really all they're worried about. So as long as you don't make significant changes on the operational side, there's really nothing that you need to be like worried about when there's a handing over, because those people are with you for the employment opportunity. The employment opportunity doesn't change. Now, if you sell the business and the new owner wants to come in and just cut their wages in half, it's not, they're going to leave, right? Yeah. But if they take it over in good faith, the contractors don't care.
I was going to ask you, with the kind of like how things changed, once Trump got in office, especially when it came to labor, a lot of the people who do have hard labor are, the Mexicans, and things like that. Did your business take a hit with that?
Well, the way that I set all my businesses up and the way that I recommend all the partner businesses be set up and everything, we only use people who are authorized to work in the U.S. Okay. So there was no hit taken from that standpoint. We don't really do cash business. It just kind of gets messy. And it gets hard to account for. And ultimately, it's not worth what you may make on the upside, right? You may stiff 10 grand out of taxes that, you get to keep that 10K. Okay, now you do go to sell it, and now you've got to say, well, the business actually made this, but like I took it all off the books, and now I'm trying to sell an entity that is avoiding taxes and, legally is not in great standing from that standpoint. So we always say, keep it clean, keep it clear cut. So that we didn't really have any effects from that.
Okay. And any crazy like stories you got just from, experience with cleaning? Because I know a lot of people throw wild parties, they have events. Like anytime that was there like anytime you had to charge more or like, just make your money and help the contractor get some money too?
Yeah, I got two good stories. So first one, my business partner, John, actually had to clean up a Diddy party, which that was something, a crazy story. It wasn't my own, but still one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard. But got a call. Diddy was renting out his house to somebody who was there for Art Basel 5 days, and $7,000 ticket for cleaning for 5 days, like huge place. And they were like, we need it cleaned every single day, all this. Diddy wasn't actually there, but still just insane to even hear that. And he gets a phone call and he's like, I'm the manager for Diddy's mansion and we need someone to come clean it every day. We don't care what the price is. So that one was crazy. But for my own personal story, again, just kind of a crazy, I forgot about this until you just asked, but a crazy kind of step back into really what I went through in the startup of this. When I first got this going, I had no income, right? I had no anything.
Nothing.
And I would go and do some of the cleans because I was just like, shit, man, I got to make some extra money. Rather than this be a $200 clean and I pay $100 to the cleaner and keep $100 for myself, I'd rather just go do it and get the full $200 for myself. So there was one particular clean, and bless my wife. I don't know. I thought she might have left me after this one, but she came home from work. She was working on a construction site, civil engineer, not actually doing construction, but working on the site. She comes home. She worked a 10-hour day now. It's 5:30 p.m. We get back. I got a call from a customer saying, hey, I need an emergency cleaning today. And that cleaning, it's going to be a really big 1-bed, 1-bath, like deep move out clean. I'm like, all right, we could do the big, move out clean for you. Not a big deal. Do you need it done today? And they say, yes, we need it done today. So I'm like, all right, we'll knock it out. I asked my wife, I'm like, hey, will you come with me? We're going to go. It's 1 bed, 1 bath. It's probably going to take a while, but with 2 of us, we can get it done, maybe 3 hours. We'll knock it out. We walk in there. I'm talking floor to probably my shoulder height. I'm 6'5", so probably 5 feet of garbage everywhere. McDelivery, it's all DoorDash bags, food. And so what that means is it's months of food kind of just being tossed in there. I get in there, I find out the homeowner has been living at a hotel across the street because her place got so dirty, so nasty. She called us in. By the time we got down to the bottom level, critters and maggots and fruit flies everywhere, like mold growing into the carpets down there. And we stayed there for 6 hours each, from about 6 p.m. to midnight. My wife and I stayed in there. Two of us, we knocked it out. We charged ended up charging the customer $1,500, and she tipped us $500. So we made $2,000 that night, just the two of us. Wow. Paid our rent for the month, all that. But I mean, I'm saying like literally floor 5 feet deep of garbage, the entire place. You could barely even open the door. It was just unbelievable. So I was seeing some stuff like that. Thankfully, not too many times.
Nah, definitely. But before we wrap, and do you guys like partner up with like other services like exterminators and different things, or?
Absolutely. Yep. We junk removal, window washers, gutter cleaners, dryer vent cleaners. Anything that it's like that's a little too specialty for us to do. Again, drop service it. Just get a referral. Just say, hey, I'm going to bring you in to do the junk removal before my deep clean. And I'm going to sell the junk removal as an add-on of my service for $800. And then you go find a junk removal company that'll do it for $600. You just made another $200 on top. It's the same model, right? It's the same exact thing. And when you can streamline the experience for the customer, make it all easy, it's all one place, they only have to deal with one person who orchestrates everything, they'll pay the premium for it. So we absolutely do that.
So yeah, this was a great one, and I do want to ask you too. All this work you do, what are some things that you do to have fun, like to balance it out?
Yeah, man, not much, but I do. I love traveling. I try to go on a trip 3 or 4 times a year. I love spending time with my wife. I have a adorable little dog that I always walk the dog every day. I love working out, playing sports. I'm an athlete through and through. I mean, that's just like who I am as a person. So never stopped that. Recently got into pickleball. I don't know if you guys have ever played pickleball, but it is so damn fun, man. I can't recommend it enough. You just got to try it. If you got good hand-eye coordination with a paddle or something, check that out. But yeah, mainly just doing stuff outside, living in Miami, man. Just go for a walk. It's 80 and sunny every day. Everyone's happy outside, smiling. That's entertainment enough for me. So.
But now this was a good one. Definitely tell the people where they could tap in with you, get more information about, what you do, especially like, the JPM, program that you got going on. Definitely tell them where they could find more information.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. If you are interested in just connecting with me in general, just getting more information, staying in touch, you can find me everywhere at Parker J. Smith. That's Jay. Parker J. Smith on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, everything. So you can find me there. And then if you are interested in getting more information about JPM Partner Program, figuring out, what it would look like to start a location in your area, especially if you're someone who just wants to cut down the learning curve and just get into a business that can be cash flowing pretty much right away, you can shoot me a DM on any of the platforms, or you can even just go to parkerjsmith.com. I've got a bunch of resources and information there, or you can book a call with me directly. We could jump on, talk about the details, and see if it's something that we want to do together, because it's a lifetime business partner commitment after that. And once we build it and grow it, I'll help you sell it, and we can trot off into the sunset together.
Yeah, this was a great one. A lot of information was given, and you broke it down so simple. So definitely appreciate you for pulling up, Parker.
Thank you.
Definitely our first podcast out here in Miami, so it was a good one, bro. Like I'm pretty sure a lot of people learned something. So definitely you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next one. We always bringing on quality guests, and we're definitely trying to help you guys get the bag and change your situation. So like, comment, and subscribe, comment what you learned down below, and tap in with Parker.
For sure. So I'm gonna see you guys in the next episode.
Peace, y'all.
Peace, y'all.